week's video, I would like to talk about one of the lenses of my gear that I love the most. I received a lot of questions relevant to my opinion to the Fujifilm 10-24 f4, and I have to say that this is one of the lenses I love the most, and is together with the 55-200 that is here. These are the two lenses I use the most while I'm shooting landscape photography. My opinion of this lens is that the image quality is very high, and I'm really satisfied for how it performs. But there are some other aspects that made me prefer this lens over the 8-16 millimeters. The 8-16 millimeters is quite a big lens. It's very heavy, bulky, and it's taking a lot of space in the backpack. The reason I went for the 10-24 is its weight. It's very light and it's very compact. It's very sturdy at the same time because it's fully manufactured in metal. It's part of the XF line, which is not the red badge line that is the top quality line for Fujifilm lenses, but the XF line is in my opinion, the perfect compromise between quality, especially of the manufacturing of the lens, quality of the image, and at the same time size and weight of the lens itself. When you are hiking to reach the location where you want to shoot, each kilo that you can spare is always welcome. And the combination of these two lenses together with the X-T3 is, in my opinion, the perfect balance between weight and quality. Another aspect I really like very much is the broad range of the focal length. We go from 10 to 24, which means that we are going from about 15 millimeters on full format to 36 millimeters, and this is a range that I really use a lot when I'm shooting. The 8-16, on my opinion, is too short on the long side. I prefer to reach 24, so I can basically go with two lenses. I hardly shoot between 24 to 55. This is why I can go out with just two lenses. At the same time, this lens has a metal mount, so this is very important for the long lasting of the lens itself, and to guarantee that this lens will perform very well, mechanically very well, for a very long time. This lens is not weather sealed. This means that it's not guaranteed to withstand dusty environments or heavy rain. But in my experience, I've used this lens with some light rain or drizzle, and I've been using this lens on the seaside where we have splashes and moisture in the air from when there is a lot of wind and big waves. I've used this lens on the countryside where we have dust. I've used it in summertime, I've used it in wintertime with cold weather, and never had any problem in terms of reliability of the lens itself. And the image quality is always very high. When I'm talking about image quality for this lens, I'm not talking about instrumental measurements of the performance, but I'm talking about my experience on the field, what this lens can provide, what this lens can get to when you're shooting. And I have to say that it's always sharp, and especially when you are stepping down to f8, f11, f13, which are the apertures that I'm using the most when I'm shooting. It can provide very good quality of details, and very good focusing from the foreground to the background. It has image stabilization. I've managed to use this lens with shooting time down to a quarter of a second, half a second. So when you're using it handheld, you can really shoot with very low light. Like all the other XF lenses, it has an aperture ring, clicking, and it's very nice to adjust the aperture of the lens. And the other two rings, the focusing and the zooming rings, are very smooth and precise. Moreover, this lens has internal focusing and internal zooming, so it doesn't change its length and dimensions while you're zooming or focusing. And the front lens is not rotating; it's fixed, so you don't have any problem when you're using polarizers or graduated filters. Talking about filters, it has a thread of 72 millimeters, and this makes possible that you can use the Lee filter systems or any other filter system for square filters, 100 millimeter square filters. Personally, I use the Lee system, and the fact that the front element is not rotating helps not to create any problem every time you adjust the zoom or the focusing point. The compact size of this lens and its weight makes a perfect match with the X-T3 body. The two combined together are very well balanced, and as you can see, you perfectly match the camera, and you have a very good grip on the camera and lens. It's not too heavy, it's the right size and weight that makes you feel comfortable when you handheld the camera. Moreover, it doesn't create any particular stress when the camera is mounted on a tripod, especially because I use an L bracket from a small rig, and so this is giving us the possibility to install the camera on the tripod like this when you're shooting vertical and you are not just tilting the ball head. In any case, even if when I had to tilt the ball head, I never had any issue with this lens taking the camera out of balance. Now I would like to show you some of the shots I've taken in the last few months using the 10-24. And this first shot here is a very nice shot I've taken in the countryside, and I've taken this handheld at 1/80 of a second, f8 at 11.5 millimeters, and as you can see, we had a very good resistance to flare. The sun was inside the picture, and we had quite a good sharpness all across the image, and I think the overall quality of the lens performed very well. Here we have another shot, and this is a typical vertical shot with foreground, midground and background on the seaside, and here the wind was moving a little bit the flowers in the foreground, and I really enjoyed that. In fact, the shooting time is 3.7 seconds, f13 at 10 millimeters, and I was really looking for the blur of the flowers in the foreground due to the wind. But as you can see, the sharpness all across the picture is very nice. Even if we are going to the corners, we have quite a good level of sharpness. One more picture, changing subjects completely. This is more in the style of architectural photography. I was walking in a small town here in Tuscany called Silvereto, and I've taken this shot to prove that 10 millimeters is very wide. And again, this shot was taken handheld, 1/8 of a second, 7.1 f7.1 at 10 millimeters. One more shot, back to the seaside, an horizontal shot, and this was on a tripod, 2 seconds f14 at 10 millimeters again. I really love 10 millimeters and it's fantastic. It gives you a very broad field, and I really like it. This shot, as you can see, has very good details. Here is another shot I've taken on the vineyards not too far from where I live in Tuscany. Again at sunset, again with some strong light on the right side, and the performance of the lens here is very, very beautiful. I like the detail, I like the overall feeling that is given to the whole picture. It's almost painterly, even if all the details are maintained, and this is something I really love of this lens. A few more shots here on the seaside with very close foreground, and we have some waves moving in the middle ground and some rocks in the background. And as you can see, again here it's loading. I think I have to change my computer. Okay, now it's fully loaded, and we have plenty of details here in the foreground, and at the same time we have very nice middle ground and background. Here it starts to be a little bit out of focus because I was shooting f10, but overall when you see the whole picture, it's very sharp, and it's maintaining the sharpness even on the edges. One more shot, again from the seaside, and again you can see that the performance of the lens, even with filters in front, even with the sun almost directly on the front of the lens, is extremely good. The sharpness, the absence of flare, it's giving us a very nice performance. And here back on the countryside, here we have directly the sun in the lens, and the overall performance is very pleasing. In most of these shots I've used graduated filters in order to recover the dynamic range of the photo, but as you can see, it's matching perfectly with the lens, and the overall performance is very beautiful. These are my considerations about the Fujifilm 10-24. It's a very beautiful lens, very capable, high quality, sturdy. Would I recommend it? Yes, definitely. There are two downsides, in my opinion. One is the lack of weather sealing, and the other one is that it is an f4 fixed aperture lens. In case of astrophotography, or whenever you need a faster lens, the other option is the Fujifilm 8-16, which is a fixed 2.8 aperture. There are other lenses from third parties, manufacturers, which can be faster than this, but in my opinion, for landscape photography, when you're shooting on a tripod, when you need lightweight, when you need compact size for hiking, this is the perfect solution. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to follow me please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. This will help my channel to grow. I'll see you next week, where I hope I will be shooting on the coast of Tuscany in a very nice area which is called Cala Violina.